everyone. I'm Annette Pasternak, the Stop Skin Picking coach, and today I'm here with Aarti Patel, who is a naturopathic doctor in the Pacific Northwest, U.S. Welcome, Aarti, or Dr. Aarti. How's
Oh, just Aarti. And
Aarti?
hi. Thank you so much for inviting me onto your channel.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for coming. You just published this book, and I talked about it on another video, Acne, just another four-letter word. Okay, so I was curious, like as a naturopathic doctor, people presumably come to you for all sorts of reasons. So why did you choose to write a book on acne specifically?
Well, I actually went into naturopathic medicine because of my own years of experience battling acne on my own skin. And it started very early, I think. Even I feel like it was before I hit 13. I was at school, I was looking in the mirror, and all of a sudden I saw a bump and I thought, what is that? For some reason, I had this feeling like it wasn't going to be a short-term existence of this bump on my skin. I don't know what you would call it, maybe just intuition. And it did get worse. So I battled acne for a long, long time. Eventually, I ended up deciding to go into naturopathic school just because I wanted to figure out what was going on at the things that people do to heal their skin or the pharmaceuticals they take to get rid of the acne overnight. They just weren't working for me for the long term, and that really bothered me. I just didn't want acne to take my life away from me, and that's what I saw was happening.
Wow. Okay, so your whole journey as a healer started from acne.
It really did. It really did. In fact, before I decided on naturopathic medicine as a career, I tried out everything. I thought, okay, let me just see what will help my skin. I went for massages and acupuncture and appointments with estheticians, like facials and supplements. I even tried pharmaceuticals. I tried everything. And I think what was nice about seeing a naturopath was that they asked me the story of my skin, how it started, how I was feeling about it. They were interested in, and all these other fields do that as well. But I think I liked the inside-outside approach and also feeling like I was involved in the treatment plan that was being created. So I really liked that, and I was excited about doing that with my own skin and potentially helping other people one day with that approach.
Oh, that's great. All right. So the title, just another four-letter word. How did you choose that? Like, I mean, we have I assume it's like the F word and the S word, and now this is the A word.
It's the A word, and it was the A word for me for years. I think one day I just remember sitting down on the couch next to my boyfriend and saying, acne is just another four-letter word. I think that's how the title came about. So the title came before the book, and it helped me keep the book focused. I think sometimes just I want to write a book, and you start writing it, and for me, having that picture in mind, okay, like acne is this foul-mouthed four-letter word. It's cursing at me. I know that from experience. I've now worked with patients who have kind of described the same feeling for themselves. And so let me just stick to that as the image and that as the focus. And I really do feel like acne is a four-letter word. It just, you feel like you get branded with it. I'm sure people know what I'm talking about when I say that you just feel like you're wearing acne as a branding on your forehead. And it's a tough thing to feel like your identity is wrapped around that word, which ends up being an incredibly insulting presence on your skin.
Right. And acne and skin picking, regardless of whether it's picking at acne, they seem to have this in common that it just takes up more and more of your brain space on a daily basis.
Definitely. I feel like, and I describe this in the book, that it creates a smaller world for you than you could take advantage of. It starts making a bubble around you where everything is about it. You have to drop anything you're doing, attend to your bumps or your pimples or your zits or whatever you call them. Probably with skin picking, you talk about this too. It just starts closing your world in on you. It's an uncomfortable feeling, and you feel kind of trapped, like acne's controlling too many aspects of your life. I've never liked that, and it's actually made me angry. And I heard that anger echoed when my patients were talking to me, and I thought there's definitely something here.
Yeah, I really like that part of your book. I mean, I love the whole book, and that grabbed me when you're like talking about anger and how we're not allowed to express anger, or
Mm-hmm.
we're really discouraged from it, and how it's such a protective thing. Like it's pointing out, I mean, I hope you don't mind, I'm talking about your book, but
I don't know.
it's
Of course, I like it.
I mean, you should be talking about it, but like it's pointing out what like areas where your kind of boundaries are being invaded,
Yes,
right?
definitely. I think that, you know, like I talk about in the book, your skin is being fed in different ways, of course, by whatever you put on the surface of it, nutrients in your oils or moisturizers, the way you wash it, on the inside as far as nutrition as well. But it's also being fed by just the feelings that are going on in your body, what you're going through. And I think when somebody invades your space, or it's a repeated pattern of being in certain dynamics with people, whether it's your family, your friends, work situations, and you feel like there's trespassing going on. People are getting more from you than you want to give, or you've gotten into a pattern of pleasing people and going out of your way doing things that you don't want or doesn't make you happy anymore, then anger does naturally build up. It's going on under the surface, and if it's not dealt with, then it does feed into acne's fuel, and you feel like acne's almost imitating the words that are being used toward you, or the actions that you're receiving in your life from people who you just don't feel are treating you well. And I go in the book so far as to say too that you're allowing this, you end up getting used to allowing it, if you don't reinforce those boundaries with people. But if you pay attention to where the boundaries are at, and start strengthening them and protecting them, then you can actually strengthen and protect your skin too.
Wow. Yeah, someday they'll figure out what the mechanism for that is
Yeah, that would be
molecularly
an
or
interesting
whatever.
research study. I don't know how they would do it, but
Yeah.
they could measure hormones, neurotransmitters. I don't even know, but I
Yeah.
mean, it's like we
It's
all feel
complicated.
it. And I know people who go. I've talked to patients who deal with acne, describe these elements in their lives of just. Sometimes they talk about it as like wanting to feel like they're doing everything right, like their lives are perfect, and they have to put that outward image just so that they don't feel like they're going to be attacked, or their space or skin is going to be invaded more. But somehow that just actually feeds into the dynamic too. Like, sometimes we want to show like this isn't bothering us, but it really is underneath, and it is in our lives too, not just on the skin. So I was hearing patients talk about this, and I'm just really appreciative too that they were open to sharing this part of their journey with acne and their skin and their health.
Right. So was it a period of years that started to become clearer and clearer to you what was going on, like, and what acne was really saying, um, and the
Well,
steps? Because this is all very stepwise in the book, right? There's like step one in facing acne, step two, and
it is.
yeah.
And well, I think for years I personally was doing the same thing. And I heard this echoed through patient stories. I was doing the same thing that wasn't working. I basically, if you boil it down, I was wishing for a miracle cure, which if you look online and TV commercials, you see this everywhere. There has got to be a miracle cure for acne. I'm going to find it, or it's going to land in my lap. I'm going to pray for it, hope for it, wish for it. And You see it being sold everywhere, so you assume that you're going to run into it at some point. You read reviews on Amazon or different stores for different products. You get really superstitious and fearful about your skincare routines, what you're eating. You get anxious that you're somehow causing your acne. So I went through that experience for years. It really was driving me crazy, and I was getting personally wrapped up in feeling like I was to blame for everything, which just does not help. I think underlying acne is already the feeling that you're doing something wrong all the time. And so here on top of that, I was saying, I'm not doing enough to appease my acne. And so it was becoming this just like vicious cycle. And I think when it kind of broke open is somebody asked me, do you want to get rid of your acne? And that may seem like, at the time I thought, wow, that's, how can you even ask that? Of course I want to get rid of my acne. But it started me thinking, what role does acne play in my life? And why is it hanging around so long? Like, have I really committed to wanting to let go of this thing in my life? And so at that point, I had to start looking at acne more through those steps that I talked about in the book. Like, okay, acne saying certain messages to me that are degrading. Am I keeping those kind of messages around my life, or am I allowing people to say those kinds of things to me and not standing up for myself? Well, in that case, maybe I should start standing up for myself in certain ways and allow my skin to adopt that property too, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Just that, like, what your skin was, or your relationship to your skin or to your acne specifically was you were noticing it's similar to your relationship to situations or people outside.
Definitely. And I think you brought this up in one of your other videos too, when you were doing a review of the book, that in a way, it's almost like saying people are invading your turf and you're saying, okay, come on in and get what's mine, just, trespass on my turf. And to some extent, when, you're entering dynamics where you feel like you should be like just giving, beyond what you're even capable of, then you start feeling kind of drained. And I definitely noticed that. And again, like, patients were kind of saying that kind of stuff too. I would ask them, tell me the story of your skin, and so many emotions would come up. And I don't think they expected it. The frustration maybe of not finding a solution for acne, but all kinds of other things were coming up too. And as that stuff was coming up, somehow that their skin was already getting better because it was being openly acknowledged, and their skin was then, I think, in a way, getting a chance to breathe and just really feel itself again. And so it's kind of like metaphoric, but in a way, it's also a direct relationship there.
Yeah, so there could be, who knows, maybe they'll discover there's some toxins that build up in the skin when you're holding emotions, and then
that's what
you
it
let
feels
go
like,
of
right?
the...
You start feeling that, someone's getting under my skin, or some situation's getting under my skin, like maybe it's literally under your skin, and you don't want to feel that way, so it's like you have to do something about it.
So I just thought of this question right now, but was there anything, so you watched my review of the book, was there anything that you were like what was the most important point within the book that you feel like I didn't talk about?
Wow, you actually did cover so much. I was like, I was like, I love this review. I honestly do. I wish I could take that video and put it straight on Amazon and be like, everybody watch this. One thing that you definitely alluded to, but I could go into a little bit more, is the whole picturing aspect of skin. And I think that's because I've used it in practice. I remember the first time I told a patient, when you're relaxed at night, go through like just a detensing of all your muscles, and then close your eyes and picture your skin the way you want it to be. And I told her, I'm not talking about perfect skin or someone else's skin that you've thought lately looks flawless, but really just picture you being in your skin, the skin that you want, picture it in as vivid detail as you can, like what you're wearing, what you're doing, and you want to see yourself having the changes that you want to experience in real life. And the reason for this is that I think in our mind's eye, we start picturing ourselves with acne all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And that means even when our skin is going through periods where it's looking a little bit better or less reactive, we still imagine ourselves with acne, as if it's a constant presence there, and even when it's not there, it is there. And so just that practice of visualizing your skin in a different way and your face in a different way and your presence in a different way starts to separate your identity even more from acne's constant intrusion and belittling messages and like curse words basically at you. And, I know we still have to look in the mirror, and if you have a breakout, it's going to bother you, but I think, and this you did mention, the other thing I talk about is just look away. Like, just don't, what do you call it?
Fixate on it?
I'm sorry?
Don't fixate on it.
Exactly. Don't fixate on it. Don't give acne that satisfaction of giving it the attention that it always wants. Like, give it the cold shoulder, and as you go throughout the day too, don't keep your mind on it. Don't keep your actions geared toward, oh, I better do this, or acne will be mad at me and flare up and things like that. Like, just getting space through visualization, picturing exercises at night, and space by just saying, like, I'm going to reject you. Like, I see you in the mirror, but I'm going to reject you mentally, and just turning away from the mirror and going about your day and living your life, not letting acne stop you from living your life.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I love the picturing. Yeah, it's so important because it's like if we're always living with that feeling, somehow our thoughts create a lot of our physiology. I mean, they know the way that we think affects our health. And the way that we feel affects it. So like practicing, and it takes practice, because really all this is, the fixating on it, it's just habitual thought and habitual behavior. And, if you don't do anything to loosen a habit, to, go away from it, it just tends to get stronger and stronger. So you have to consciously do things like the picturing to, get away from it.
And that mind-body connection is big, and we just don't really see people talking about it a lot. You do, and I talk about it in the book, but I don't see it. It's not everywhere. It's very still new, I guess, like a newer way of thinking about skin health and health in general. That yes, emotions and thoughts do really play into it, and the way we handle that can either help us in our journey or I think hinder us. So. You're definitely right about that. Whatever approach it is that someone takes for improving their complexion or their skin health overall, or getting clearer skin from acne, I would say that another key is just to really appreciate the progress you do see and the little steps forward, because sometimes we just think, okay, if our skin isn't perfect after whatever we try, then it's a wash, that our efforts weren't worth it. And to just switch that approach and say, okay, I'm seeing a little bit of change here, starts giving your skin and yourself confidence that the skin you want is a real possibility. And that really makes a difference, just having that mindset that little steps forward are not failures. They're actually evidence of your skin's health trying to come out and help you get feel attractive or like whatever it is that you want. Your skin has that potential in there, like it's innate to it, and it just comes out little by little. It's not an overnight thing, and so sometimes you just really have to be patient. But that does help to be patient and change your mindset like that.
Yeah, thanks for pointing that out. That's important. And there's a tendency, I mean, probably it sounds like with people with acne as well as skin picking, to have this all or nothing perspective on a lot of things. And so it's like, yeah, if it's not perfect, it's terrible. Or, yeah, there's no grades. So, yeah, learn to recognize the um, the grades of progress, the small wins, is what you're saying.
Yeah, so you get confidence that, yes, my skin does want to feel healthy or be clear or let me feel attractive or whatever it is. Like your skin isn't out to get you.
Right.
Acne is
Yeah. Yeah, maybe people should repeat that as a mantra. Like, my skin's not out to get me.
No, it's not. Your skin is your home, and it just wants you to like live there. And
I like that. Like, even if people remind themselves, my skin is my home.
Mm-hmm.
That's nice. So I'm also curious. Your skin looks so beautiful and amazing, and yeah, what was that transition like from? Did you do anything special? I'm sure a lot of my viewers are wondering. I know this is kind of like the stuff that you're like, don't focus so much on, but.
Oh no, it's totally fine. There is a little bit of a story behind that. When I was in college, I actually went on some pharmaceuticals for my skin, and they eventually didn't work as well. You know, they just stopped losing their effectiveness, and they also got more and more expensive. So I ended up kicking them to the curb at some point, and the acne just came back with a vengeance. And at that point, I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do, because probably even some of the stuff I was trying before the pharmaceuticals wouldn't work now, and it didn't. But what was interesting was I tried a couple of skincare lines. I did try homeopathy, which was amazing. Like my skin just seemed to really respond to homeopathy. I think some people may find that because homeopathy is a medical or a medicinal art that actually is already a mind, body, and energetic approach, that their skin may really respond to it. So when my skin responded to homeopathy, I thought, wow, it's not just about what I'm using on my skin or in my body. Like I can actually see changes happening from a mind-body approach. After that, I tried different skincare lines, and nothing really clicked. And strangely enough, after I, had this stand up to acne commitment in my mind, I went back to trying a skincare line that hadn't worked previously, and all of a sudden it just worked for my skin. It wasn't like a super special line. It had some oils in there, some natural ingredients, but I felt like now when I put it on, when I went back to it, I thought, well, like, now I feel like it's making a difference somehow. So I just stuck to natural products, and I stuck to doing less. I felt like I was doing too much before, like skin stripping, facial washes, and like just trying to clog my skin with all kinds of products. So I actually stopped washing my face first thing in the morning, because I read somewhere that Selma Hayek said that. And her mom and her grandma said that we wake up with these natural oils and protective layer on top of our skin, and then we wash it away. And I found that actually worked for my skin to not, or I might splash my face with water, but I stopped washing it with anything abrasive or too harsh or I don't know, too chemically. And even as far as even natural stuff can be drying, so I just stopped washing it very much. And then I also loosened some of the superstition around my skincare routine, started playing with it more, started having more fun. Like, let me try this, let me try that. I'm not going to cross my fingers about whether it works or not. I'm just going to let my skin show me what it likes and kind of what attitude it likes. Like, I don't want to be staring at the mirror, like doing what I used to do with that finger toward my skin and my pimples. So I think the combination of the mindset of standing up to acne and standing up for myself, combined with not being too hardcore about the skincare regimen and supplement regimen, diet, and all of that, just like having a more relaxed approach, like helped me relax as a person. And I think that relaxing is always good for the skin. And so, yeah, some of that is what I found to be helpful.
Well, thank you. Just a curiosity about the homeopathy. Was that custom tailored to you? Did you go to a
I
homeopathic
did.
practice?
It was
Okay.
during school. I had just started naturopathic school, and they wanted us as a requirement to see a student clinician at the clinic we had there. And of course, she asked me, what do you want to work on? I say acne because I'm in school and I still haven't figured out what's going on with my skin. And she didn't. Homeopathy is interesting because it's a type of health visit where they don't focus on just your acne the whole time. I did talk about it. I talked about how it came about, my journey with it. But then they ask you all kinds of other things, and your mind just kind of roams around your life, your preferences, what makes you unique. And so then she didn't tailor make it herself, but she handpicked according to my symptoms and my mind-body connection and kind of my overall health profile, like physical, mental, emotional. She picked that remedy for me, and oh my gosh, like it really made a difference. I think that's when it started clicking for me. Maybe acne isn't all just physical, and skin conditions aren't just physical. There's got to be something else. If she was able to hone in on like the core of my health surrounding the acne.
Right. Was it a one component or met several different components? One. Do you remember what it was? Just because like there's so many similarities, that you're finding with yourself and your patients, like maybe it would be something people could try and
also that's the interesting thing. I've done homeopathy with my acne patients, and they're all different remedies. They're
good to know.
Yeah. Has there been a trend? I don't think so. There hasn't been a trend in the remedies that I've prescribed, but what I do notice is that the remedies themselves kind of fit the person based on where they're at, and what they've gone through physically in their health and, emotionally, but also that the act of talking about what they're going through during the homeopathy visit seems to be very therapeutic for them. So I think they go home with both the remedy and having, just really talked about their feelings. The combo helps.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But Staphylococcus is one homeopathic remedy that is for people who have suppressed anger. So, and pulsatilla is a remedy that helps women who have some hormone imbalances, which could come about from suppressed emotions. So those are two I'm thinking about that I know I prescribed.
Interesting.
Some point along the way.
Well, I actually have a friend who's a really good homeopath. Comment if you'd like me to do a video about homeopathy because she's brilliant. And
homeopathy and skin, I think homeopathy can do wonders for some people as far as their skin goes. I'd watch that video.
Cool. Yeah, I'll ask her. I'm pretty sure she'll say yes too. All right. But comment because I don't know if you want to listen. I know Dr. Aarti wants to hear it, but I don't know if anyone else will. But and people can do small steps at a time. And I love, when Aarti and I were talking right before this, she was telling me that she wrote this book in like 50 words a day.
I did, yeah. Like we were talking about, there's a book I picked up in like November of 2016, which is when I started the book. It's a book by Guise, and it's called Mini Habits. So it's available. I feel like it's available in so many countries now.
I'll link it in below the description along with your book, of course.
Oh, great. And so his book, it talks about how, and this doesn't just apply to writing, but to anything you want to change, really, that sometimes we get so overwhelmed by the aspect of where we want to get to that we make goals and expectations for ourselves that are impossible to reach. And we don't end up feeling motivated enough to do that overshooting that we're expecting of ourselves. So as far as writing, like an example, writing goes, you would be doing 50 words a day because, most of us know we can write 50 words. a day. Even if you're not going to keep it, you write the 50 words towards your book. And then if you end up doing more than 50 words, then it's bonus. So it's like extra credit for you. But each day that you do 50 words, you just put a little check mark in your calendar or your planner, and you feel like you're just growing the chain of the work that you're doing or the project you're working on. And so this book largely was a 50 word a day writing experience. Of course, if I was in the mood, I'd write more, like 400, 500 words, but it really went little steps by little steps through that year that I was writing it. And I could handle that, so I can't, I'm not someone who can handle 1,000 words a day or something like that.
Yeah, and this is totally applicable. I have a habits video, and I basically talk about that. I've heard of this concept, even though I haven't read that book. So it's like, if people want to start meditation, just make a habit and start with a minute a day. And you want to do more, you can, but like, don't break the chain, right?
Don't break the chain. Like, you get so proud of yourself rather than being down on yourself for what you couldn't do. You're so proud of yourself for the thing you are doing consistently. And so I think that's great advice. Like, yeah, I can do a minute of meditating a day or a minute of whatever.
Well, thank you so much, Aarti. This has been great.
I really enjoyed talking to you, Annette. And again, thank you so much for inviting me.
You're welcome. And for the viewers, give Aarti thumbs up, say thank you if you enjoyed this, which obviously you got something out of it if you're still here at the end. And if you're not subscribed to my channel, subscribe and leave us a comment. Tell us what you got out of this discussion today.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.